Okay, so we're back for another deep dive. And today we're going to dig into something I think we've all wrestled with at some point. Procrastination,
Right,
right?
yeah.
We all do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But how do we actually start getting a handle on it? I mean, really? Like, we've been looking into some fascinating ideas and approaches, and one that really caught my eye is the whole philosophy behind Stallion journals. You know how they're specifically structured to help people break free from procrastination?
Right.
I mean, not just, nice notebooks. They really seem to have thought about how the design can actually help tackle this problem.
Yeah, and that's what's really interesting about them. It's
Yeah.
not just about the aesthetics. You can get a Listallion in all sorts of styles.
Oh, yeah.
Like they've got the soft covers, like that orange wall one with the ash gray black cover.
Oh, that's a good one.
It is.
The-
Or, if you want something warmer, there's the Garano and Cocoa Brown.
Yeah.
And then they have the more like durable hardcovers, like
Yeah.
the black faux leather or the classic
Oh,
brown.
brown. Yeah, those are nice.
Yeah. But the point is, it's not just about looking good. It's about how those features are actually designed to help you overcome procrastination. Like, they've really thought about why we put things off.
Absolutely. And it makes me think about my cousin, Mark.
Mm.
He's a brilliant software developer,
Mm.
really talented guy. But you give him a new project,
Yeah.
and he would just get stuck in this, planning stage.
Mm.
And he'd spend days just, thinking about it,
Oh, yeah.
but not actually writing any code because the task just felt so huge. It was almost paralyzing.
I can see that.
So before we even get into, the how-tos, what are we even really talking about when we say procrastination?
Right. Well, at its core, procrastination really is about deliberately delaying important tasks.
Uh-huh.
Often we swap them out for activities that are more fun or less urgent, right? But the key here is that it's not just about bad time management. It's deeper than that. It can turn into this self-defeating cycle,
Mhm.
and it can have a big impact, not just on how productive we are, but also how we feel about ourselves and what we achieve.
Absolutely. And that's why I think this idea of focusing on breaking the cycle is so important.
Oh, it's crucial.
Because it's not about just giving ourselves a pep talk and, white knuckling it.
No. It's not about willpower.
It's about figuring out why we're even avoiding the task in the first place.
Right.
And that's where I think this whole idea of a structured journal comes in.
Right.
Especially what Listallion's doing. They're basically saying, hey, this is a dedicated space to really examine how you manage your time. Set goals that actually mean something.
Yeah.
And come up with strategies to be more productive.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of a journal, right? Because it becomes this a dedicated place for self-reflection.
Mm.
And when you think about the psychology behind procrastination, it's not just, oh, I'm being lazy. It's often much deeper than that.
Oh, for sure.
A lot of the research we've looked at points to a few key things.
Okay.
That fear of failure,
Yep.
that inner critic that's always pushing for perfection,
Oh, yeah.
the feeling of being just completely overwhelmed by a task. Totally.
And the stress and anxiety that all comes with it,
Oh, yeah.
those are real psychological barriers that we need to deal with.
Yeah, it's so true. My cousin Mark, he would get so stuck because he felt like the first version of whatever code he wrote had to be absolutely perfect.
Oh, wow.
So that pressure to get it right immediately would stop him from even starting.
Yeah, he'd freeze up.
He'd be doing all this research trying to anticipate every single problem before he even wrote one line.
So how do we actually use journaling to help us break through those kinds of blocks?
Yeah, that's a great question.
I mean, how does it actually help?
Because writing stuff down isn't like magic, right?
No, but it can feel like it sometimes.
You know what I think is really insightful about this whole approach?
Yeah.
It's how when we write our thoughts, our fears, and our goals down in a journal, they become less abstract. They become more real.
Oh, that's a good point.
It's like you're taking all those jumbled anxieties, all those to-dos that are swirling around in your head, and you're putting them down on paper in a way that you can actually see and process.
Yeah.
And just the simple act of doing that can really reduce that feeling of being overwhelmed.
It's like you're taking all those tangled wires in your brain
Exactly.
and you're laying them out neatly on a table so you can actually see where the knots are and start untangling them.
Right. And speaking of untangling those knots, a lot of what we've been looking at really emphasizes the power of to-do lists.
Oh, for sure.
But not just any to-do list.
No.
It's about actually writing down your tasks, prioritizing them thoughtfully. And this is key. Breaking down those huge, overwhelming tasks into much smaller steps.
Smaller bite-sized pieces.
Exactly, because those smaller steps feel way less intimidating.
And this is where I think the design of something like a Listallion journal really shines.
Oh, tell me about it.
Like those smooth, ivory-colored pages. They're not just there to look fancy. They actually make the writing experience more enjoyable.
Yeah, and that's important because if you enjoy writing in it, you're more likely to use it consistently.
Right. It becomes less of a chore.
And then there are those 7.5 millimeter wide lines and those dashed lined pages.
Hmm.
They provide structure without feeling too rigid.
Yeah.
You've got plenty of space to write down those detailed tasks and break them down into those actionable steps we talked about.
It's all about setting yourself up for success.
Exactly. And let's not forget that built-in table of contents.
Oh, that's one of my favorite features.
It's brilliant. It turns your journal into a real resource. You can track your progress over time, go back and see what worked and what didn't.
And it makes it so much easier to find specific entries later on.
Absolutely. It transforms the journal from a place to just jot things down to a real archive of your productivity journey.
Yeah, it's so true. Like I had a colleague, Anna. She was amazing at juggling like a million projects at once.
Oh, wow.
And she always had this notebook where she would not only write down her to-dos,
Yeah.
but she would also like reflect on her progress, any roadblocks she hit, that kind of thing.
I love that.
And I just imagine how much more effective that would have been if she'd had a Listallian journal. You know, that
Yeah.
clear layout and the index.
Oh, yeah.
She could have easily referred back to past strategies and insights.
Absolutely. And that ability to see your progress and learn from your experiences, it's incredibly motivating.
So we've talked about lists.
Right.
But how does consistently using a journal help us break out of the procrastination cycle itself? Like beyond just writing down tasks.
That's where self-awareness comes in.
Okay.
The journal becomes a tool for really digging into your procrastination habits. Like, what kind of tasks do you always avoid? And how do you feel when you think about doing those tasks? Is it anxiety, stress, boredom, or something else?
Yeah, and once you identify those triggers,
Oh, that's when things start to shift.
right, because you can start to challenge those negative thought patterns.
It's like you're finding the faulty wiring in a circuit breaker.
Yeah.
Once you know where the problem is, you can start to fix it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole idea of SMART goals.
Oh, yes. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
Right. It's much more effective to say, I'm going to go for a 30-minute walk 3 times this week, starting Monday at 7 a.m.,
Right.
than it is to just vaguely think, oh, I should exercise more.
That level of specificity makes a huge difference.
And journaling really encourages that kind of specific goal setting.
It does. And again, think about Listallian journals. They use that thick 120 GSM paper. It's durable. It's high quality.
Yeah, those journals are made to last.
They are. And that encourages consistent use. You know, when you have a journal that feels good and is built to last, you're more likely to reach for it every day and write down those goals and plans.
And there's plenty of space on those pages to really break down those big goals into manageable chunks.
Right. It's all about creating a dedicated space, a space you enjoy for this work.
Yeah, rather than trying to squeeze it into the margins of an already busy life. You touched on this before, but I'm curious, can you say a bit more about how writing down and reflecting on our feelings can actually help us deal with those negative emotions that are so often tied to the tasks we're putting off?
It's fascinating, really. Writing can be such a powerful way to process emotions.
Oh, for sure.
When you put those anxieties, those fears of failure, those feelings of being completely overwhelmed down on paper, you're taking them out of your head and you're looking at them from a bit of a distance. And that can actually reduce the intensity of those emotions.
It's like you're taking something that felt huge and scary,
Yeah,
and you're making it smaller and more manageable.
exactly. It's like you're shining a light on the monsters under the bed. Once you see them clearly, they often aren't as scary as you thought they were.
That's such a great analogy.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the theory, but can you give an example of what this might actually look like in real life?
Sure. Let's say we have a marketing professional, we'll call her Lisa, who always puts off writing her monthly reports.
I think we all know Elisa.
Probably. The deadline would get closer and closer, and she'd get so stressed and end up rushing to finish everything at the last minute.
Oh, that last-minute panic.
It's the worst. So Lisa decides to start using a Listallian journal to figure out what's going on.
Okay.
And what she discovers through journaling is that she has this deep fear of her manager criticizing her reports.
Oh, that fear of judgment.
Yeah.
It can be so paralyzing.
It really
Right.
can. And even though she hadn't really admitted it to herself, that fear was the main reason she was avoiding the task.
Wow.
So Lisa starts using her journal to break down the report writing process into smaller steps, like outlining one day, drafting the intro the next, and so on.
Okay.
But more importantly, she also starts writing about her fears, about the potential criticism.
Oh, good.
And by acknowledging those feelings, putting them down on paper, she starts to separate herself from them a little bit.
So she's not letting those fears control her as much.
Exactly. And over time, not only does she get more efficient at writing her reports, but her confidence in her work actually starts to grow, too.
That's a great example of how self-reflection can lead to real positive change.
And it shows how this isn't just about, like, productivity hacks. It's about addressing those deeper psychological factors that drive our behavior.
And the stuff we've been looking at really underscores the link between procrastination
Yeah.
and those mental blocks, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's so important to remember that procrastination is rarely about being lazy. It's often tied to those psychological factors we've been talking about. The fear of failure, the pursuit of perfection, those negative emotions we often don't even acknowledge.
Right.
And the journal becomes this safe space, this non-judgmental space, to explore why you're avoiding certain tasks. Is it because they feel too complicated? Do you feel like you don't have the skills or the information? Are you just not inspired? Or are you just overwhelmed by the sheer size of the thing?
It's like giving yourself permission to really dig into those feelings.
It is. And the key is to look for those recurring patterns.
Yeah. If you notice that you're always procrastinating on tasks that push you outside your comfort zone, that's probably a sign that there's some fear or anxiety there that needs to be addressed.
Exactly. The journal becomes like a personal data log, helping you spot those patterns and those triggers.
And once you see the pattern, you can start to come up with solutions.
You can reframe your approach to those tasks.
Start to take control.
And a well-designed journal like a Listallion, it can really encourage that ongoing self-exploration and pattern recognition.
So it becomes part of your routine.
It does.
It's not about finding a quick fix.
Right.
It's about going on a journey of self-discovery and constantly adjusting.
Exactly. So for anyone listening who's thinking, okay, this all makes sense, I'm definitely a procrastinator, what are some things I can start doing today? Like, how do I actually use a journal to help me?
Yeah. What are some actionable steps?
Well, the first thing is to set clear and realistic daily goals.
Yep.
Instead of just saying, I'm going to work on the project, choose one specific achievable task for that day.
So break it down.
Exactly. Break those huge, overwhelming tasks into the smallest possible steps.
Bite-sized pieces.
Bite-sized pieces. Even just committing to working on something for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That can be enough to get you
To
started.
get over that initial hurdle.
And use journaling prompts to explore your feelings and your motivations.
Okay. Like what kinds of prompts?
Ask yourself things like, what am I specifically avoiding about this task? Or what would make this task feel less daunting?
Oh, that's interesting.
Those kinds of questions can lead to some surprising insights.
So sometimes the biggest challenge is just knowing where to start.
Often it is.
What else can people do?
Track your progress. No matter how small the win is.
Okay.
Did you finally make that phone call you were dreading?
Yeah.
Did you finish one tiny piece of a massive project? Write it down, acknowledge that accomplishment. It helps you build momentum, and it reinforces those positive behaviors.
Like giving yourself credit for the small wins.
It is. And finally, consider creating some kind of accountability system.
Okay.
It could be as simple as sharing your daily goals with a friend or a colleague, or just writing them down clearly in your journal as a commitment to yourself.
Oh, that's a good idea. That sense of accountability can really help.
It can. Knowing that someone else is aware of your intentions, it can give you that extra push to stay on track.
And you know, Listallion seems to have really thought about how to make their journals easy to use consistently.
Oh, they have.
They have that back pocket for storing notes, the soft cover with the premium faux leather. It looks good and it feels nice to hold.
Right. It makes you want to use it.
And even something as simple as having numbered pages.
Oh, yeah.
It makes it so much easier to refer back to specific entries.
Absolutely. All those little details, they add up.
They make the journal a more integrated part of your life.
They do.
So it's about removing those little obstacles that can prevent us from sticking with it.
Exactly. So let's zoom out a little. What are the long-term benefits of making this kind of journaling a regular practice?
Yeah, like what can people expect to see if they commit to this?
Well, you can see a real increase in your overall productivity, a greater sense of well-being and control, and a real improvement in your mental health.
So it's not just about getting things done. It's about feeling better overall.
It is, because when you're consistently reflecting on your patterns and addressing those triggers for procrastination, you become more self-aware, you become more organized and more effective.
Both in your work and in your life in general.
Exactly. And we can't forget about the reduction in stress and anxiety.
Oh, yeah. That's huge.
Journaling can be such a healthy outlet for emotional processing.
It's like you're getting all those worries out of your head and onto the page.
It is. And when you invest in a high-quality journal, like a Listalion,
Yeah.
with its thick acid-free paper that's designed to last, and that built-in table of contents so you can easily go back and review your thoughts and goals, you're really investing in yourself.
You're investing in your own growth.
You are. It becomes a record of your journey.
So it sounds like a dedicated journal,
Mm.
especially one that's designed with procrastination in mind, like the ones from Listalion, can be an incredibly powerful tool.
I think so.
It gives you structure. It gives you space to reflect. And it gives you a tangible way to track your progress as you tackle this challenge.
And remember those features we've talked about? The
Mhm.
quality of the paper, the layout, the organization? Those aren't just random details.
No, they're not.
They're there to support you, to help you understand your own procrastination habits and build better, more productive ones.
So for everyone listening, think about what we've discussed today.
Yeah.
Could journaling be the key to helping you finally unlock your potential?
Could it help you feel happier and more fulfilled?
Because if procrastination is often about avoiding uncomfortable feelings, maybe the act of facing those feelings directly in a journal is the key to breaking free.
Maybe confronting those feelings head on, one entry at a time, is what will finally unlock everything you're capable of.
It's definitely something to think about.
It is.